The House will come to order. Members will be at their seats. The clerk has opened the roll, and you may record your presence. Please rise and give your attention to our guest chaplain, Pastor Leland Flegel, United Methodist Church, Morganville, guest of Representative Bloom, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Representative Nguyen.
Good morning. Let us bow our heads in humble prayer for our leaders, their staff, their constituents, their families who support them. We give thanks, Lord, for all who have followed their calling into leadership. May your Spirit be the voice of wisdom as our leaders work toward one common goal, representing those who place their vote of confidence in them. We thank you for the support staff. May they know the importance of their contribution to their leaders and the people they serve. Give them the strength and the energy to fulfill their responsibilities. Dear Father in heaven, we thank you for the family support they receive, their patience, their understanding, and most importantly, their gracious love for their husbands and their wives who serve the people. We're blessed to live in a democracy where we can work respectfully across party lines. As it is written in Galatians 5:22-23, may our leaders share the spirit of love, patience, kindness, and forbearance with the ultimate goal of peace upon completing the legislative work that benefits our people and the economy. We thank you, mighty Creator, that our leaders bravely and boldly represent with the discerning spirit of the Lord, the people, be they rich or poor, so all may have a blessed quality of life. Amen. One nation, individual.
As every member had the opportunity to record their presence, the clerk will close the roll and record the attendance. Introduction of bills and concurrent resolutions, the clerk will read.
House Bill number 2412 by the Committee on Federal and State Affairs, an act concerning the Personal and Family Protection Act, removing state agency fees for licenses to carry concealed handguns. House Bill number 2413 by the Committee on Federal and State Affairs, an act concerning firearms, requiring safe storage of firearms, establishing criminal penalties for violations. House Concurrent Resolution number 5011 by Representatives Garber, Awerkamp, and others, a proposition to amend Section 1 of the Bill of Rights of the Constitution of the State of Kansas relating to the right to abortion.
House Bill 2123 is withdrawn from the Committee on Commerce, Labor, and Economic Development and is referred to the Committee on Appropriations. The chair recognizes Majority Leader Croft for a motion to resolve into the Committee of the Whole.
Mr. Speaker, I move the House resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for the purpose of considering those items under the heading of General Orders.
You've all heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Motion carries. The Speaker appoints Representative Humphreys to chair the Committee of the Whole.
Okay, first, happy Valentine's Day to everyone. I hope you know and grasp how loved each one of you are. Okay, the first item of business is HB 2125. For the purpose of carrying HB 2125, the chair recognizes Representative Proctor.
Chair, there were committee amendments. I move the adoption of the committee report.
You've heard the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The motion passes and the committee report is adopted. Please continue, Representative.
I rise before the body to present House Bill 2125, an act that would, among other things, provide for charitable event permits and demonstration permits to provide tattooing, cosmetic tattooing, or body piercing services. Last year, I met Diana Allen, owner of the Bearded Lady Tattoo and Piercing Studio in Leavenworth. She asked me to pursue legislation to allow tattoo artists to come from out of state to work as guest artists in Kansas tattoo shops and tattoo conventions. Currently, this is illegal in the state of Kansas. Tattooing's moved into the mainstream. We have tattoo and piercing shops in our suburbs here in Kansas. I won't ask for a show of hands, but I would venture to guess that at least a few members in this chamber have tattoos. Many of the tattoo artists are celebrities. They have TV shows. They travel from state to state to shops and conventions. And people come from miles around to get tattoos from them. I don't know a whole bunch about tattooing, but I know about conventions, and conventions are good for business. People who go to conventions, they shop in our stores, they eat in our restaurants, and they stay in our hotels. So I got to work on this bill because Kansas is missing out on this business. This bill authorizes the Board of Cosmetology to issue guest permits good for up to 14 to 30 days for body artists to come work in Kansas. As amended, these permits are good for these artists to work in licensed shops, in convention halls, or at private residence for commercial or charitable events. David Yoakum, Chair of the Kansas Board of Cosmetology, provided proponent testimony. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll stand for questions.
Does any member desire to speak to the bill? The chair recognizes Representative Jacobs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have an amendment. What this amendment simply does in our statute, 65-1946, paragraph C, tattoo places, they have to have their records for 5 years. What this does, it lowers that rate to 3 years. And the department is okay with this, so I'll stand for questions.
Thank you. Representative, the amendment appears long. Is there any objection to waiving the reading of the amendment? Okay. Does any member wish to speak to the amendment? Thank you, Representative Probst. Or sorry, excuse me, Proctor. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I spoke to the bringer of the amendment last night about this and talked to the Board of Cosmetology. They're fine with this change. They're actually looking to reduce it even more. So they have no issue with this amendment. I won't call it friendly or unfriendly, but it doesn't really touch the underlying bill that I'm carrying today, so I'll leave it to the will of the body. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Does any other member wish to speak to the amendment? Okay, seeing none, Representative Jacobs, you may close.
I move my amendment.
You have heard the motion by Representative Jacobs to amend. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The motion passes. We're back on the bill. Does any other member desire to speak to the bill? The chair recognizes Representative Probst.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The carrier of this bill painted a good picture of it, and it won't cause any permanent damage.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Representative Proctor, you may close.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that when the body rises and reports, it reports House Bill 2125 favorably for passage as amended.
You have heard the motion by Representative Proctor to report 2125 favorably as amended. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The motion passes. The next item of business is HB 2127. For the purposes of carrying House Bill 2027, the chair recognizes Representative Wassinger.
Good morning, body. Unfortunately, on March 22nd, 2022, Karen Shoemaker breathed her last breath. Her husband had been arrested for domestic abuse, aggravated battery, and mistreatment of a dependent adult. On the 22nd, Karen died and the charges had been changed to murder. That day, the county attorney said that this crime was, actually, forgive me, I'm going off script, murder in the first degree of a felony murder. Karen's son, Jeremiah, was very dismayed to find out that while his father was in jail awaiting trial, he could inherit all of his mother's money and use it for his defense. He could use it to bond out of jail and spend down all the money in the account. Jeremiah's family went to court to ask them to hold the money in probate, which the judge did, and then he came to me. This amends KSA 59513, which is called the Slayer Law. This makes sure that if you are charged with any kind of homicide or that you wanted the death of someone that you were a beneficiary of, that it has to remain in probate until the person is found either innocent or acquitted, they were dismissed of the charges, or they were convicted of the charges. If they're found innocent, they can have the money that they were the beneficiary of. If they're found guilty, it goes to the estate and goes through probate just the way it would had there not been a murder. This needs to be changed. There's a hole in probate law that allowed someone to be able to use someone's money when they killed them. Sorry, that's not right. Let's not add injury to what Jeremiah and his family have had to deal with. Help us to change this law. Help us to make sure that no one can benefit from the murder of someone they're going to get money from. At that, I'll stand for questions.
Does any member desire to speak to the bill? The chair recognizes Representative Ballard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I stand in support of HB 2027. As you have heard, Kansas law generally prohibits a killer from benefiting from the crime by inheriting from the victim's estate. But what happens if the victim estate is paid out to the victim's heirs before a conviction of the killer? Does the killer inherit because they are not yet been convicted? The bill pauses the distribution of the alleged killer's share until either they are convicted, in which case they do not inherit, or until the probate court holds a hearing to determine whether the proceeds of the estate should be distributed to the alleged killer. I believe this is a unique case. It was not listed on how you would handle this situation in probate. That's why this bill is before you this morning. I believe it is important changes being made to clarify what all is involved in probate. I think this is an unusual situation, one that's very painful for the family. Any death is painful regardless of the circumstances. These circumstances, I think, make it even more detrimental, and justice becomes extremely important. That if you were the beneficiary, you should really be truly the beneficiary, not gain because you have done something like killed the person and you get to use the money. It's a fairness issue, it's a justice issue, but it's really an unfortunate situation because we're talking about a death, a family, and what do you do with what's been left to the beneficiaries? The court has to rule on this, but we this morning can take measures to make sure that probate is clarified, that we know what the procedures should be. And I hope you will support that in order to make sure that people understand what the situation is. It's crucial, but it's putting in place the information and the procedures and the process. And I hope you will vote favorably for House Bill 2027. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, Representative Wassinger, you may close.
Did you take this? Karen Shoemaker suffered years of domestic abuse. Please honor her memory, and her son is indeed on this floor to see this go through. It's very important. I thank you for your consideration. Madam Chair, I move that when the committee rises and reports, it reports HB 2027 favorably for passage.
You've heard the motion by Representative Wassinger to report HB 2027 favorably. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The next item of business is House Bill 2214. For the purposes of carrying House Bill 2214, the chair recognizes Representative Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There were no committee amendments to this bill.
Please continue.
Colleagues, House Bill 2214 comes to the floor today from the Corrections and the Juvenile Justice Committee. House Bill 2214 changes the name of the Larned Correctional Mental Health Facility to the Larned State Correctional Facility because the mission of that facility has changed. It changed in 2016, but the name has remained the same. Changing the name was our reason for proposing this bill, but in drafting the bill language, some additional technical changes were identified, including removing the names of facilities at Osawatomie and Toronto that were closed in the late 2000s and no longer exist. Updating KSA 75-5202 to include any juvenile correctional facility or institution and other correctional facilities for confinement of adults and juveniles. Language that today is in KSA 75-52-167, along with its parallel list of facility names that can be cleaned up to appear in only one statute. And just to make clear, this bill has nothing to do with the Larned State Hospital. In fact, the bill's intent is to clarify and make a distinction between the two facilities, one being a correctional facility and the other being the state hospital. Madam Chair, I stand for questions.
Thank you. Does any member desire to speak to the bill? The chair recognizes Representative Chuck Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Some people think I haven't introduced a bill, but I did in 2014. And Ed Trimmer, who was sitting right here, came up and saved me. So I did introduce one, and if I never do it again, that's okay. So can I ask you a couple questions, please? You did a really good job with your bill. You're very confident and you spoke very well. Who is your mentor?
You are, sir.
Was the speaker mad at you or what when he gave you me as your mentor?
I think you made somebody else mad assigning me to you.
Were you nervous when you came up here?
Yes.
When you come into the chamber and we've been in session, what is your greatest fear?
Rolling out into the aisle in my chair and falling out backwards while someone is sitting in the chair.
You spoke to me about that many times, and I agree with you.
Well, I've always been fearful since I looked down and saw your foot on my chair pushing me in that direction.
Did you play high school football?
I did, sir.
Where at?
Highland Park here in Topeka.
I believe we played against you, Atchison, and who won that game?
Yes, well, Atchison did, but I remember a sack of the quarterback.
You know, I don't remember much about that game, but the only thing I remember is when we played Highland Park, I was cheap shotted by number 52. And my arm still hurts. And if you see me limp around the chamber, you'll understand why that cheap shot really affected my life. And can you tell me who number 52 was?
That was my number, sir.
My friends on the left, this gentleman was a Navy SEAL, which is, to me, one of the highest of all military people. So He served his country well. Then he went into the Army and he was a chaplain. Would you rather be called colonel or chaplain?
Chaplain.
Chaplain. It's a great honor. Both names are great names. I appreciate the people in here that are military people. In the Navy, just asking a question. You start out in the Navy. Why, if you earn the rank of colonel in the Army, why do they call you captain in the Navy?
That goes way back.
Let me ask you, do you own a Corvette?
2 Corvettes.
Do you lock them in your garage?
With all the other documents, I do, yes.
Guys, it's a pleasure to sit next to this guy. He's a great American. I want to welcome you to the House of Representatives.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Is there further discussion? The chair recognizes Representative Heiberger.
Well, that's a hard act to follow. Once again, this is one of the most important pieces of legislation we'll be considering here today. I think the carrier did an excellent job, and welcome to the House, and I encourage your support. Thanks.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, Representative Thompson, you may close. Yes. Yes. Excuse me, just a minute. The chair recognizes Representative Smith. If you, or would you like to speak again? For a second time.
Could I ask the carrier of the bill one more question? I meant to ask. Do you have a tattoo?
2.
Thank you.
I can't show them to you.
Okay, is there further discussion? Okay, seeing none, you may close, Representative Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that when the committee rises and reports, that it reports House Bill 2214 favorably for passage.
You've heard the motion by Representative Thompson to report 2214 favorably for passage. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion passes. This concludes our general orders. The chair recognizes the majority leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move we rise and report.
You've heard the motion to rise and report. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. The motion passes. Thank you.
The clerk will read the committee report.
Mr. Speaker, your committee of the whole recommends House Bills 2027 and 2214 be passed. House Bill 2125 be passed as amended.
The speaker recognizes Representative Humphreys.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the committee, I move the committee report favorably for passage.
You've heard the motion to adopt the committee report. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion carries. The committee report is adopted. Reports of standing committees, the clerk will read.
Committee on Health and Human Services recommends House Bill 2264 be amended. The bill be passed as amended. Committee on Insurance recommends House Bill 2090 be passed, and because the committee is of the opinion the bill is a non-controversial nature, be placed on the consent calendar. Committee on Insurance recommends House Bill 2089 be passed, and because the committee is of the opinion the bill is a non-controversial nature, be placed on the consent calendar. And Committee on Insurance recommends House Bill 2284 be passed, and because the committee is of the opinion the bill is a non-controversial nature, be placed on the consent calendar. Committee on Insurance recommends House Bill 2285 be passed, and because the committee is of the opinion that the bill is of a non-controversial nature, be placed on the consent calendar. Committee on Commerce, Labor, and Economic Development recommends House Bill 2253 be amended. The bill be passed as amended. Committee on Commerce, Labor, and Economic Development recommends House Bill 2291 be amended. The bill be passed as amended. Committee on Transportation recommends House Bill 2267 be amended. The bill be passed as amended. Committee on Local Government recommends House Bill 2092 be amended. The bill be passed as amended. Committee on Local Government recommends House Bill 2082 be passed. Committee on Taxation recommends House Bill 2106 be passed.
Is there any objection to the returning to the order of business introduction of bills and resolutions? Seeing no objection, the clerk will read.
House Bill number 2414 by the Committee on Appropriations and Act concerning post-secondary education relating to the University Engineering Initiative Act, expanding the act to include certain private post-secondary educational institutions. House Bill number 2415 by the Committee on Appropriations and Act concerning health and healthcare, establishing the CanCare Bridge to a Healthy Kansas program relating to medical assistance, expanding income limits for eligibility to 138% of the federal poverty level. House Bill number 2416 by the Committee on Taxation and Act concerning taxation relating to sales and compensating use tax, providing for a sales tax exemption for Area Agency on Aging.
Are there announcements? Representative Blake Carpenter will replace Representative Carl Mon on the House Committee on Corrections and Juvenile Justice on February 15th. This appointment will expire at the end of the day on February 15th. Representative Meyer replaces Representative Susan Ruiz on the House Health and Human Services Committee on February 15th, 2023 for the day only. Representative Neighbor replaces Representative Probst on the House Commerce, Labor, and Economic Development Committees on February 16th, 2023 for one day only. Representative Silas Miller replaces Representative Probst on the House Agriculture and Natural Resources Committee on February 16th, 2023 for one day only. Representative Osmond replaces Representative Poskin on the House Veterans and Military Affairs Committee on February 16th, 2023 for one day only. Representative Vic Miller replaces Representative Oropeza on the House Elections Committee on February 16th, 2023 for one day only. Further announcements, the Speaker recognizes Representative Riley.
Thank you, Speaker Pro Tem. I have two things to bring out for today. The first one is that we have our Bible study tomorrow morning, so Wednesday morning, 7 a.m., room 142 South. And again, we continue the book of Nehemiah. And so usually that's from 7 o'clock to 7:45, so it should be done for any caucuses or calendars. The other thing I'd like to bring out, I have on my desk, as you remember, I had, we were doing a St. Patrick's Day get together on March 15th, it turns out. March 17th was, we were going to be pro forma, so we had to change that to March 15th. So if you didn't get your name on that co-sponsor list, I've got the 35 people already marked off that were on that list. If you're interested in being on that St. Patrick's Day bill, just come up and sign it. It's on my desk back there. Thank you.
The Speaker recognizes Representative Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Wyandotte County Delegation Luncheon is today in room 152 South, and KU Hospital is our host. Thanks.
Speaker recognizes Representative Garber.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Room 287 North at noon, the Kansas Congressional Prayer Caucus meets. If you notice on the paper I laid on your desk down at the bottom, there's a website that tells you all about the Congressional Prayer Caucus Foundation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem.
Speaker recognizes Representative Hoheisel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Body, you all should have received an email from me this morning with a resolution attached honoring the Kansas City Chiefs on their Victory Sunday. We're doing an opt-out system on this, so if you wouldn't like to not sponsor this bill, please reply to the email. If you do want to sponsor the bill, you need to do nothing, and we will, your name will be on it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Speaker recognizes Representative Stogsdill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Democrats will have agenda tomorrow morning at 8:30 in 152 South, tomorrow morning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Speaker recognizes Representative Rajes.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Rural Caucus, starting as soon as we're done here, room 159 South. Our speaker will be Kelsey Olson from the Kansas Department of Agriculture. Thank you.
Speaker recognizes Representative Tarwater.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Body, I do this every year. I just wanted to come up here and tell you about something that happened in my life on this day in 2001. 12:03 in the morning, my son Brandon was born, and it was the greatest Valentine gift that I've ever received. And we renamed the day Brandontine's Day, so happy Brandontine's Day. So, also, and on a different note, my wife thinks that I'm a skinny man. And she purchased a suit for me that is a 42L, and I cannot return it because she bought it at an auction. So if anybody wears a size 42L, come to my office. It's a tuxedo, really good.
The Speaker recognizes Representative Wassinger.
Legislative modernization, we will not meet tomorrow. Someone's clapping? Good, okay. But we will meet on Monday. We will have some things to take care of. So see you Monday.
Speaker recognizes Representative Penn.
Colleagues, I wanted to, on behalf of the Kansas Black Leadership Council, invite you all to Black Legislative Day that is happening right now until 3 o'clock today, as a matter of fact, on the first floor of the Capitol. Go by and hear some of the discussions, meet some of your constituents, and if they ask for office calls, please indulge. Thank you.
Are there any further announcements? Seeing none, the Speaker recognizes the Majority Leader for a motion to adjourn.
Just making sure. Mr. Speaker, I move, oh wait, first, Republicans, we're going to calendar at 8:30 tomorrow, Wednesday, February 15th. Mr. Speaker, I move the House adjourn until Wednesday, February 15th at 11 a.m.
You've all heard the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. We are adjourned.